Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hearts and Stripes podcast. I am your host, Bree Carroll, and I am so excited to bring you another Heart to Heart. If you are new here, welcome. We are excited to have you. What you need to know about this podcast is very simple. We are all about strengthening military marriages. We do that through our discussions, through the guests who come on, sharing resources, giving advice, and talking through those lessons learned. So I hope that you are ready to kind of dive in and spend intentional time, I should say. We're going to be here, but we're going to spend intentional time together as we talk about and talk through different ways to strengthen our marriage. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic today, specifically because it came out of working with with other spouses. And I actually had the opportunity to coach during the Evolve retreat. It was a retreat put on by Pride and Grit. So shout out to them. Evolve is specifically for seasoned spouses. So it went into depth on different topics and conversations that can help equip seasoned spouses out there. And I loved how it was broken down. It actually really aligned with what the message that we do here at this podcast, hitting on those three areas. And for us, it's focusing on identity, you, yourself. It's focused on the marriage and it's focused on the future. But for the conference, they did more so of a family perspective. But I love those three pillars and those focuses. And during that conference, the first speaker that we had was Dr. Patrice Carter. So I'm telling y'all all of this to give you some context, and shout out to Dr. Patrice. She is amazing. She did a talk on identity, and it's what led me to this episode and this discussion about being in a different season than that of your spouse. So in Dr. Patrice's talk, she basically wanted to do some introspection and just kind of think through who we are and what season we're in right now. And again, just for some context, Dr. Patrice had us think through the four seasons, really: winter, spring, summer, and fall, and the concepts that winter is normally more cold. It's maybe a more dormant season in your life. Spring, you might have some more choices. You may be growing in different types of ways. Summer may be filled with travel, and there may be plenty. It's plentiful. And then fall, you may be in a season of storing things up or nourishing in those type of capacities. Fall also, it's a season of thanks with Thanksgiving and things like that. So she asked us to look at what season we were each in. And I found it very interesting as I coached my small group. The questions that kind of came up led to what happens when, once you've identified the season that you are in. And by all means, take a second based off of that very brief description and kind of think through what season you are in. And then think about what season you may think your spouse is in. Well, a lot of women in the small group realized that they were maybe in a different season than that of their spouse. So let that sink in for a little bit. So that may look like the spouse may feel like their season is real cold and dormant, like winter. Nothing's really changing. It's just kind of, there's no leaves on the branches. It's kind of crisp air. It's just winter. Whereas their spouse may be in spring and they have a lot of choices. to make going forward in their career. They're getting that promotion. Maybe they have more opportunities to learn different things, and they're in spring. Things are blooming. They planted seeds earlier in life, and they're now seeing it happen for them. But those are two very different seasons. So what happens when you and your spouse are in different seasons? So that kind of brings us to our conversation today, and just talking through what you should do if you happen to find yourself in a different season as your spouse. And I'll just let you know, let you in on this secret, even that a lot of the women who participated in the session, that's what they found. They found that they were in different seasons. So the first thing I want to share with you is it is okay if you are in a different season than that of your spouse. I'll say it again. It is okay if you are in a different season than that of your spouse. It is all right if you are in summer mode, traveling, things are plentiful, and your spouse is in fall, even storing things up because they're prepping for maybe a deployment, or maybe someone is in that winter season, and things are kind of dormant, and you're kind of waiting and needing some answers for the next step. I know that's what a lot of our seasoned spouses were. They were trying to prepare mentally and in their careers and just in life for what that next step would be when they leave the active duty military side of things and they went into this scary world of retirement. It's going to be different, right? So this concept of different seasons, you really do need to think through that it is okay if you are all the two of you, you are a team, but the two of you may be in different places, and that's okay. Another thing that I really wanted to go into when we're talking about being in a different season as your spouse is just kind of some ways that you can help navigate that, right? So we know that it's okay that if we are in different seasons, that's okay. And if you are in the same season, congratulations. I mean, enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's a lot easier to navigate when you're in the same season, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're walking through the season the same way. It could be summer for the both of you, but you could be going in completely different directions. You could be traveling one place, they could be traveling another place. It can be plentiful in different ways for you versus them. So still knowing those differences, and as we talk about these differences, this should still be helpful to you as well. And one of the first things that I wanted to unpack out of our discussion of what happens when your spouse is in a different season, the first thing you need to remember is to give grace, and also receive grace. And the reason why I say that is because that can be very discouraging, especially if you are the person who is maybe in one of those warmer seasons and maybe really excited for you. You may be growing, and that's your spring season. Maybe it's really exciting for you, and your spouse is kind of just like not in that season. They may seem like they're a little down, they're a little stagnant, they're not sure of some things, or they're frustrated with what's going on in their shop, in their unit. It's okay to give grace during those times, and also receive grace if you are on the other side of that. The way that you can properly give grace is through this next tip, because it kind of helps inform how you can give grace in these circumstances, and it's through communication. Communicate the season that you're in with your spouse. Communicate that it is different than the season that they're in, because they may think that because they're going through a certain type of season, you should be as well. And that's not the case. It is, again, going back to the original point, it is okay to be in different seasons. And I think once you communicate what your season looks like versus what their season looks like, you can better support one another. And through supporting one another, you're able to offer that grace. The next piece of advice that I have about you being in a different season from your spouse is you should absolutely honor where they are. Honor where they are. And the reason why I say that is because I've noticed personally that I happen to be a nerd when it comes to personal development and growth. You guys know I am a coach, so I'm always looking for ways to level up, setting goals for myself, thriving in life, and wanting to see other people thrive and do the same. But I will say that just because I've read the book or just because I've gotten this new aha moment, that doesn't necessarily mean that my husband is receiving the same things and he may not be ready to have the same aha moments that I'm having, right? So you have to honor where that person is. It's a process. Everybody has their own individual process, which is why I love the fact that we focus on identity as a means to getting your marriage stronger because the individuals have to walk their own path. The individuals have to go through their own process. The individuals have to experience the different seasons, and then collectively, as a team, as a unit, as a couple, you are better equipped to tackle things together. That comes with giving grace, that comes with communicating, and it comes with honoring where they are and asking for them to also honor where you are. Because as a spouse, I will say my achievements, if you will, look very different than that of what my husband's achievements look like. And I am grateful that he celebrates them regardless of what they look like. So that's how he honors me in the season that I'm in. And likewise, I honor him for the season that he's in, which may be a season of stillness where he has to be patient about some things. It's not an exciting season, but I can still celebrate the fact that he's doing a great job in his stillness. That can help bless our relationship as opposed to him being in the season and acting out a different way, which can cause more chaos in our home. But honoring just where they are, honoring where they are in their process, and honoring who they are as an individual as they walk through that process. Another tip that I would give if you find that you are in a different season from your spouse is ask how you can help or what they need. So ask how to help or what they may need. Asking those questions opens the door, and it ties into communication, of course, but it opens the door for you to serve them in the way that they are desiring for you to serve. And the reason why I say it's important to ask so that you can serve them in the way that they desire to be served is because we don't want to try to pull and push and force our spouses to get out of that season because we don't like the season that they're in because it's different from ours. We want to be helpful. We want to let them know that we are here for them, that we are willing to hold space and just listen if they want to vent, or listen as they work through that season, or celebrate them. But we can be a help to them if we feel like the season that they're in, they may be stuck in. But we should ask how we can help, because what we don't want to do is create additional issues because we are injecting ourselves in their process and they weren't ready to move out of that season. So, asking what they need is a really good way to do that. I will say another thing to note for yourself is get in the habit of asking what you need. Ask for what you need. So you may be in a different season, whether you are in a season that you think is a good season or a season that you feel like is not so good of a season. Are you asking them to celebrate the wins that you have if you notice that they're not? Are you asking for that? Are you asking for them to be patient with you or to help you around the house with a task, think through something? Are you asking? I can say personally, I'm not great at this area, which is why like I have it like highlighted and underlined for myself. I have to be willing to ask. And I'll give you a perfect example of that in the season that my husband and I find ourselves in right now. And I feel like I am more so in, so I feel like I was in a spring season, growing, learning, lots of choices. And I'm starting to go into a fall season where I'm kind of storing some things up. I'm saving a lot of money as I transition from doing a traditional government position and going full force into my marriage coaching practice. And I'm so excited about it. But at the same time, as things transition, I have to be very vocal with my husband and ask for the things that I need, whether that be monetary, whether that be support wise, whether that be to just protect my peace. Like I need time to myself and not necessarily just with the kids all the time. So I have to communicate and ask for the things that I need, which I have to engage in doing, engage in trust, right? As we point to the care method, I have to do it. It's in the doing. The more that I practice asking, the easier it will be. I think oftentimes we don't want to be a bother. We don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to put anything else on them, or we want to feel like we can do it ourselves. There is power in asking. I'll say it again. There's power in asking, and we need to make a habit of asking for what we need as we encourage them to tell us what they need. So I hope these couple of tips help you navigate if you are in a different season from that of your spouse. So I'll go back again and kind of just highlight them for you in case you weren't taking notes. If you want to grab a pen and paper now, I'll go through a couple of the high points of those so that you can apply it to your relationship. So the first one was just knowing that being in a different season is okay. The second tip is to give grace. The third, to communicate. The fourth, honor where you are. The last one, ask how you can help and ask for what you need. That's what we discussed in our small group during the Evolve retreat for seasoned spouses. I am so grateful again to have been a part of the discussion. And I thank Dr. Patrice Carter for challenging us in this way and asking us to dive deep on who we are, what season we are in, and assessing the things that we need during this time. And I hope that as you navigate the different seasons that you come through, you're able to come back to this episode and think through these things if your spouse is in a different season from you. Now, I will say I have a shameless plug here. I am super excited because we are going to be talking about topics like this and so many more at our Military Marriage Day Summit. The Military Marriage Day Summit pre sale is open right now and available for you. Of course, you know, Military Marriage Day will be celebrated on August the 14th, and we have a week countdown of free activities for you to tune into live on social media and on the website. But if you want to go deeper, if you really want to be intentional, take the time, enjoy your spouse, make a whole weekend of it, even maybe do a staycation, right? Away from the distractions and just have time together and go deeper in this summit. I encourage you to invest in your marriage and join us for the Military Marriage Day Summit. Like I said, pre-sales are available now. You can find out all those details at militarymarriageday.com. Again, join us for the Military Marriage Day Summit and get your ticket at militarymarriageday.com. Okay, everyone. And now it is time for one of my favorite parts of these episodes, and it's our heart tracks. You can check out all of our heart tracks at Heart Tracks 2 on Spotify. The full playlist is at Heart Tracks 2 on Spotify. Now, for this episode, as we're talking about being in different seasons, guys, I mean, I just had to do it to y'all. We're going to go and give this one to Seasons of Love by the Pentatonics. I don't know if you've heard this version of it. I know a lot of you may, if you like show tunes and things, you know this song from Rent. Listen to the Pentatonics sing it. Like they put a whole new flair on it. And I just love Seasons of Love. It's a catchy song. Most of you, like if you listen to it, you know what Seasons of Love is all about. But I love this concept of how do you measure time, and they give different scenarios, and they're talking about what about measuring time with love and seasons of love. And I think this ties into our discussion of just being in different seasons with your spouse, because you can truly measure time with the different ways you've loved your spouse and how you've loved your spouse. So different seasons may require different ways to love your spouse. We talked about this a little bit as we talked to like the 5 love languages. The season of us having children, right, will make my love language be more so acts of service. And that is how I need my husband to show love. And we can measure that time together via how he loves me. So, Seasons of Love, that is the heart track. Listen to it. I hope you enjoy and listen to the full playlist. I really want you guys to add that, follow the playlist. It's on Spotify, free for you to enjoy. And I hope that each of the heart tracks just reminds you of the lessons and the things that we've kind of talk through during these episodes from our various guests and based off of our different topics. That's our heart track for this episode, Seasons of Love by the Pentatonics. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few, the proud, that aim high and are forged by love. Always ready, always there. We are Mill Marriage Strong.